Affluenza teen and his mom after they ran off to Mexico while he was on probation for a deadly drunk driving accident. Ethan Couch avoiding jail time for that crash by using that so-called Affluenza defense, where his attorneys and a psychologist argued that his wealthy parents had coddled him into a sense of irresponsibility. Well, Couch was tried as a juvenile back then, but now Texas may seek adult prison time for him. Listen to this from earlier today.
When he is returned along with his mother, we expect the mother to be charged with hindering apprehension in Texas law, and then we expect to begin proceedings with Ethan Couch. As you know, there's already a hearing set on January the 19th to transfer his juvenile probation to the adult system.
And the sheriff also announcing that an arrest warrant will be issued for Couch's mother. Joining me now, criminal defense attorney Keith Sullivan. Keith, explain this, because we understand that they can't change the original probation violation or the original sentence.
Correct. He was given a tremendous gift 2 years ago for Christmas, and he completely threw it away this time. In essence, they're going to have a detention hearing as soon as he gets back early this week or early next week. From there, the DA is going to have a hearing on January 19th, and the hearing this week will be determined, do we let him go for the next 10, 20 days, or do we hold him for the hearing that's going to take place on the 19th? Once the hearing on the 19th is held, the district attorney will present evidence trying to have him treated as an adult. Remember, he was convicted as a minor, as a juvenile. So although it was a 10-year sentence, that really was never likely he was going to be sentenced to that. Now, with this first violation as a juvenile, the most he can get, and this is going to be shocking to people, is 120 days in jail.
120 days. Even though he fled the United States, he ditched his probation, on the lam with his mom, he can't get any additional kind of sentence? I don't understand that.
Some call it a travesty, others call it the constitutional rights under the procedural laws of Texas.
Wow.
That's just the way.
Is it just because he's a juvenile and not an adult?
That's because he was convicted as a juvenile. Now, if he's offended a second time on this probation violation
as an adult,
then he could be subject to the full 10 years.
Wow.
But right now, that'll just never happen. 120 days. Actually, either way, even if they treat him as a juvenile, it'll be 120 days. If they treat him as an adult, they can only hold him until his 19th birthday, which is April 19th, which is like 119 days.
Wow.
So either way, 4 months max. That's all he's going to get.
Well, this kid has committed some crimes in the past, so it stands to reason that might be his future as well.
There'll be future contacts with the system, I'm sure.
Okay, I want to ask you about a second story coming out of Texas, and that is a new open carry law that's set to take place this week. Texans will be able to walk the streets openly wearing their holstered handguns. The Lone Star State has now become the largest state in the country to sanction some form of open carry law. To carry handguns, residents will have to be at least 21 years of age, have a clear criminal record, no record of mental illness, and they'll have to indicate that they've completed a training course as well as passing a shooting test. But the law is proving to be a little troublesome for some Texans, especially those in the banking industry. Listen to this.
Our concern is, I think rightfully so, if you are going to prohibit openly carried weapons in the bank's on the bank's premises, do you want to walk up to the guy who has the gun and say, hey, by the way, you can't have that gun here? You know, so oral notification, I think, is a little daunting and a little intimidating, especially for frontline bank employees.
Well, some folks, we should mention, are going to be able to opt out of it. Certain places like restaurants and say, hey, we're a family restaurant. There's nothing wrong with guns, but might make some people uncomfortable to see a bunch of people with holstered weapons.
Sure. This is really what I call a battle-tested law. 44 other states have this type of law or very similar law on the books, and there's really been no incidents with it. The Texas law states that banks, bars, and courthouses, you still cannot open carry. Any type of business may ban open carry. For example, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Dallas, they oversee 75 churches. They said they will not allow open carry.
But they can still have closed carry, which means that it just has to be concealed under your shirt,
which is the current
in your
status
pants,
of the law in
and
Texas.
That's the way it is in a whole lot of places, because it could cause somebody harm, or someone, if they could become frightened if they see it, a child, for example.
Second Amendment advocates feel that this is a true reflection of the constitutional right to bear arms. The Supreme Court has said, look, you have the right to bear arms, but certain restrictions can be placed on that. Concealing it is one of them. And if you have an open carry, opting out of the open carry for various businesses, that's also a fair restriction.
And there are still some places where you won't be able to have a weapon at all, as we understand, like some stadiums and places like that. Really interesting. Interesting topic. A lot going on down there in Texas. Thank you so much.
Surprising that they were so late to the game.
Yeah, Keith Sullivan, thank you. Well, the Boy Scouts putting their survival